How's it going, everyone? It is Panjano here, and in this video we're going to be going over some more advanced optimizations, tweaks and settings in which you can try, test out and apply for your AMD Radeon GPU. Whether you're running on an old, new, high-end or low-end Radeon GPU, many if not most of these optimizations, settings and tweaks will be able to help you achieve better performance, also helping stabilize performance, providing you with much more consistent frame rates, lowering input latency and improving performance across the board. If you guys do enjoy this video and find this information useful, please do consider pressing that like button alongside leaving a comment for the YouTube algorithm, as it does help me out tremendously. And with all that said and done, let's get straight on into the optimizations. With all of that and more coming straight after a message from today's video sponsor. Tired of seeing the activate Windows watermark, built a new PC, or just want to own Windows at a major discount? Head over to Whokeys to purchase a Windows 10, 11, Home or Pro OEM key at a major discount. Make sure to use code PAN20 for a further 20% off at checkout, where you can use a safe and secure payment method such as PayPal. Once your key is delivered, simply input the key inside of Windows and boom, you're now completely activated and own Windows forever. You'll now have access to all features and no more watermark. Thanks again to Whokeys for sponsoring today's video. One of the best things in which you could potentially look into, depending on how many settings you use inside of the Radeon software or not, may actually be to install a brand new graphics card driver. Whilst you're in the installation page for the Radeon GPU, navigate down to additional options and select install type. You do actually have the options for full install, minimum install and driver only. These are going to add or remove features the lower down the list you go. Selecting driver only will just install the actual 3D graphics engine driver and the audio driver, so you can just play your games with no AMD Radeon software installed to your system. This can help out, especially if you're wanting to use a different overclocking platform for the graphics card and potentially not run into any issues using the Radeon software. Same goes for minimal install. This is going to install the Radeon graphics card driver, allow you to have the settings available with it, but it's going to remove a lot of the recording options, streaming options and excess bloatware from the driver if you don't need this. If you're just wanting the basic settings available to you and the driver installed, minimal install may actually be best for you. Make sure that you do actually perform a clean installation of these drivers by using DDU or display driver uninstaller to remove your old graphics card driver before installing this one, otherwise you are still going to have some of that bloatware from the driver left over. First up, for the advanced optimizations, we're going to be disabling the ultra low power state which your AMD graphics card can enter. A lot of the time this ultra low power state can actually be initiated whilst you're running in a game, which can cause major dips in performance, and in some cases on older games, especially DirectX 9 titles, this may stop your GPU from actually ever achieving boost clocks, keeping it at around about 400 MHz, offering terrible performance. If you already have the MSI Afterburner tool downloaded, we can do it through that, or if you don't have that tool downloaded, we can just apply this through the Windows registry. Inside of the program, navigate over to the settings page. Inside of the settings page, under general, navigate down where you'll then be able to find the disable ULPS option. If you do see this option, select this, press apply and OK. You'll then need to restart your system for that to be enabled. For the next optimization, we're going to be booting into the AMD Radeon settings. For this, simply right click on your desktop, select show more options and open up inside of the AMD Radeon software panel. Navigating over to our gaming tab, selecting global graphics. For the most part, you want to turn off most of these top options as they can be conflicting with inside of games and potentially cause stuttering issues. Navigating down to advanced. Under the advanced section, we're going to be navigating down to texture, filtering, quality, going to the drop down menu and setting this to performance. Once that's been completed, scroll all the way down to the bottom to reset shader cache, then select perform reset. This is going to wipe out your current shader cache, deleting all of your old files which could be corrupted or causing low performance. Next time you boot into your favorite games, it will rebuild the shader cache, hopefully way more optimized. Under the display tab, you can choose to use AMD FreeSync if you wish to do so. The main setting we're going to be looking for with inside of it is to navigate down to the bottom to overrides. You will have to accept a license agreement to go into this setting. Once you've selected that button, you'll have the option for HDCP support. Disabling HDCP support on AMD Radeon graphics cards can sometimes help stop performance issues you could be experiencing. The only downside to this may be if you go to watch Netflix, Disney Plus, or any of those streaming services, it may be because HDCP support has been disabled. If that is the case, or you run into any issues running any video content online, come back with inside of the settings and re-enable HDCP. Once that's done, select proceed. Whilst we're still inside of the AMD Radeon settings, we can now move on to the most important optimization within inside of this video, which can be found under the performance tab. Head over to tuning. The level of tuning which will be available to you will really depend on the GPU in which you have, how new or old this is. By all means, use as many of the settings in which I'm about to go over as possible, but if you are missing any settings and you can't set them on your GPU, you can just simply skip them. This is not going to be an extensive Radeon GPU overclocking guide. That will be coming soon to the channel, so if you are interested in that, please do stay subscribed to the channel. channel. The main settings we're going to be setting up right now is to just alleviate any performance issues we're experiencing and to stop the GPU automatically downclocking. Under tuning control, set this to manual custom. As you can see for us, our minimum frequency is 500, meaning in an ideal scenario when the GPU isn't being stressed, it's going to downclock itself to 500. The problem with this is, on DirectX 9 and DirectX 11 titles especially, is that the GPU often downclocks itself to this minimum frequency, thinking that it's actually idle. This can also happen especially in more CPU bound games, which can lead to some horrible performance issues, especially for those of you playing games such as Valorant, CSGO, where your GPU usage is quite low, but when your GPU tanks all the way down to 500 MHz, it's going to seriously cause disruptions. So instead, what we're going to do is we're actually going to be raising our minimum frequency quite a bit. We're not going to be overclocking, we're just simply going to be bumping up our minimum. So we're simply going to drag this slider up, and honestly, I would set this to about 400 or 500 MHz lower than the maximum. My maximum is currently 2634. So for me, I'm going to be setting this to about 2100. If you do run into crashing issues after setting this, set your minimum frequency a few hundred megahertz lower, but just don't set it all the way down to the bottom. Heading up to apply to change those settings. Another option in which I would definitely recommend checking is to navigate over to your power tuning, enabling this, and setting your power percentage limit all the way up to the top, which for me is 15%. For any of you that are on maximum GPU loads, you can actually have your GPU accept a little bit more power, getting you some more performance, helping stabilize those maximum frequency clocks. We won't be causing damage to the GPU from doing this. All GPUs are BIOS locked, so you cannot set values which can damage your GPU in either the AMD Radeon settings panel or the nvidia control panel. And I would personally save that profile by going over to the save button, name the profile something you remember. I'm just going to be calling mine fixed, hitting save, and whenever you want to apply those settings when you boot your PC, hit load your profile, select open, and those settings will then automatically be applied. We can now move over to some more Windows specific settings, which can once again increase performance, lower input latency, and help fix performance issues we could be experiencing on our GPU. For the first one of these settings, we're going to navigate down to our Windows button, search for Device Space Manager. Inside of Device Manager, scroll down to the System Devices tab, double click. Scroll down until you find the High Precision Event Timer. Once you find this, right click and disable this device. Select yes and OK. With the High Precision Event Timer disabled, if you happen to run into any performance issues or new crashes, or games don't feel right or Windows is quite slow or sluggish, come back with inside of the Device Manager and re-enable this by right clicking and selecting Enable. But for nearly every single one of you watching, you should be finding that you're getting much more consistent and better performance from having this disabled. We can then go ahead and exit out. Next up is our Windows Power Plan. This can actually be quite a significant performance optimization, as we can stop our PCI Express slot from going into idle mode. For this, navigate down to the bottom left hand side, type in power space plan, then select edit power plan. Inside of here, go to the navigation bar at the top, select where it says power. Head over to the show additional power plans options. Here we'll have all of the power plans available on our system. For most of you watching, you're more than likely going to be running on the balanced mode. But to ensure that you're getting the best performance possible at all times, I would definitely recommend either going with the high performance power plan or unlocking the secret ultimate performance power plan, which will be available in nearly all systems. If you want to use the high performance power plan, select the high performance power plan, but before we're done, head over to change plan settings. Change advanced power settings. Start off by navigating down to PCI Express, link state power management, turning this to off. Once that's done, select apply, OK, and we're then good to go to exit out. For one of the last and final optimizations in this video, we're going to be navigating back inside of the Windows Registry Editor for a few last and final tweaks. Navigate to the bottom left hand side, type regedit. Inside of the Windows Registry folder, we can go back through all of the folders or just remove all of the directory until we're at computer. The quickest and easiest way to get into the files in which we're going to be changing with inside of here is to head down into the description down below, where you'll be able to find the reg keys to copy and paste section. Inside of there, you'll be able to find these two registry keys. For the first registry key set, simply highlight and select all of the key down below, right click and select copy. The key should look just like this. Once you've copied that key, go back into the Windows Registry Editor, head up to the navigation bar, remove everything with inside of here, right click, select paste, then press enter. This will bring you directly into the files in which we need to edit. Inside of System Profile, you'll find System Responsiveness. Double click on this reg key, set the value data to 1, press OK. Go inside of System Profile, go inside of Tasks, then go down to Games. Inside of the Games folder, we're going to be changing a few options. SFIO priority, double click on this, set the value data to high, which is HIGH, select OK. Scheduling category is also going to be set to high. Priority is going to be set to 6, and GPU priority is going to be set to 8. We've then optimized our system for a higher priority with inside of GPU heavy workloads. Before closing out this video, we're going to be going over a few tips, tricks, and things you need to know to ensure that you are not power starving your GPU, and a few things to look out for which can help fix performance issues or even crashes. First of all, regardless of how high or low end your graphics card is, you want to make sure that you are using correct power cables and are not daisy chaining power cables. If you're not sure what I mean by this, you don't want to be using an 8-pin power cable that has another 8-pin power cable attached to this, meaning that you have both power cables going into your GPU from one single cable. One single set of PCI power cables are only able to deliver roughly between 150 and 175 watts. If your GPU power goes above this and you are not using two individual sets of cables, you're going to be power starving your GPU and it's either going to crash or downclock. There is no way around this. You need to be making sure that you are using the correct amount of individual power cables. Building off of that step, you also need to make sure that your power supply supports the amount of system power draw your GPU is going to be causing. This is relative to what CPU choice you've made and if you're running an overclock on that as well. If you're using something like a 650 watt power supply, this may be okay if everything is at stock settings, but the moment you go to overclock, you could be running into major problems from doing this. If you're looking to build a system in the near future though, I would definitely recommend an 800 or an 850 watt power supply at a bare minimum, as newer PC parts are becoming more and more power hungry, and 600 watts really isn't going to cut it for anyone watching this style of video. If you are on an RX 6000 series GPU or newer, and you are experiencing crashing issues or major stutters inside of games, consider jumping into the motherboard BIOS or using a tool such as GPU-Z, heading into the PCI settings and having a look at what PCI speed your graphics card is running at. If your graphics card is running on PCIe 4.0, this may be causing those performance issues. Even if you do have a system that supports this, your system may be having some hiccups trying to run this correctly. If this is the case and you are running at PCIe 4.0, consider jumping into the BIOS settings and dialing this down to Gen 3, saving the BIOS, jumping back into Windows and seeing if your performance issues have been ironed out. If you are still running into inconsistent crashing errors on a Radeon GPU and you believe the power supply on your system might not be good enough or strong enough and you can't afford a new power supply yet, one quick and easy temporary fix for this is to simply navigate inside of the control panel, lowering the power limit to a negative value, so you're actually underclocking your GPU, which will lower your GPU overall boost clock, but will significantly reduce the amount of power draw from the overall system, which could increase system stability. And finally, to touch back on one of the first optimizations in this video, consider trying out the alternative Radeon driver installs such as driver only or the minimal installs, as this can seriously do wonders by removing the extra bloat that you may not be using. And there you guys have it. That is my advanced tweak video for all AMD Radeon GPUs. If you're looking for more performance improvements and how to optimize your system or just specific game settings, consider checking out some of the videos on screen now.